Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talking about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. So, free agency, the first wave, had some ups and downs, like it always does. Nothing ever goes exactly the way you want it to go in free agency. It's just the way of the world. We've been around this team long enough to know that sometimes you lose guys that you want to keep, and sometimes you keep guys that, maybe you would rather be done with. I don't know. It happens. But what you can't argue is the fact that there is a specific and very clear direction that this team is moving into. Now, I said before the free agency started, I wanted to keep at least 3 starters from our free agents to make sure that we kept some of the nucleus together and fill the spots as needed with other guys. We kind of did that. Now, we kept Isaiah Pola-Mao, who was a restricted free agent. He started and did really well in the latter part of last season. We re-signed unrestricted free agent Malcolm Kuntz and unrestricted free agent Adam Butler on the line. So there's your 3 starters right there. Now we're going to get in depth with it on an interview with Pete Carroll about free agency. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's absolutely free to do. It's a great way to support this channel. And it's the bare minimum you can do to help support besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I always do appreciate. Now, let's get to the video. So free agency was kind of up and down like I was talking about. We lost some guys and we got some guys. I'm pretty happy with the trade-off. We let some guys go, but they were just way overpaid, man. Nate Hobbs got overpaid by the Packers. Merrick got overpaid by the Panthers. And I think Spillane, as much as I like him, got severely overpaid by the Patriots. That's fine. They're their problems now. What I think we did is we got a lot of good players that come in that have a very similar mindset, and Pete Carroll talked about that. Let's go and listen to his interview and how he talks about free agency and their approach to it.
Somebody that knows you well told me before you came in and started making holistic changes, you were going to try to learn the franchise. That you knew what you would want to do, but you want to learn. Can you tell me what you've learned about the Raiders?
Yeah, that I don't need to worry about what happened in the past, and they've had a hard time for a number of years, and it hasn't been smooth in any way. But I grew up knowing the franchise and knowing Al Davis and what he was all about, being in the Bay Area, and I knew that there's a rich history, there's a legacy, there's a brand that is worldwide, and there's something special about that. There's a great following. The Raider Nation is a real deal, and I look at it now that I've been around enough. I did not spend a lot of time on the past, but I needed to understand, and I needed to know the people that I'm going to be working with the thought that Johnny Spytek coming in, that was the focus for me, is to focus on figuring out how John and I can get together and do our stuff and be really effective. Because I believe that's the most important relationship in the NFL franchises, and so I wanted to maximize that. So that's where the learning really was, and taking time and listening to him and being a good friend and being a good partner, and then it was the same approach with everybody in the program. And we really have a thought that we're creating a relationship-based organization, and that means that you got to get to know who's in the building. You got to get to know who's coming in the building, who's playing for you, who's coaching with you, and all that. So that's just been something that's been almost second nature to me. That's how important that is. So it hasn't seemed like it's any big burden or any big deal, but it's taken all of my focus to get to this point. We're rolling and really excited about it. It's really fun what we're doing, and we realize that there's some great challenges. But most of what I've learned about the past of the franchise doesn't have anything to do with what's going to happen in the next step that we take. So with all optimism and forward thinking, that's how we approach it.
You're known as a program builder. Not every head coach is. When did you become a program builder? Can people become program builders, or is that something you have?
Yeah.
And who are some of the younger guys that you see?
Yeah. When I was at New England and was out the year after that, that was the year that really my life in football changed. I've been coaching 27 years at that time. At that time, I really didn't know that I wanted to be a head coach. It just kind of happened, honestly. And I wasn't prepared well enough. I didn't have my philosophy together. I didn't have my approach nailed. And in that off season, I had a moment where I figured it out. I needed to get my act together. And I mean, tell you the story, figure it out, read about it somewhere else. But at that moment, everything shifted. And the next thing that happened, I went to USC. So it was pretty dang significant, you know, and it was really figuring out who I am, figuring out what my uncompromising principles were all about, figuring out how I wanted to treat the people, how I envisioned the organization coming together in all aspects. And all I can tell you is the next thing that happened, I went to SC and they were yelling at me for coming in there. They didn't want me, you know, the fans at this moment in time, you know, I was getting a terrible response. But I took it on as I couldn't care less at the time because I knew where we were going, what we wanted to do, because I'd figured out how I wanted to do it. So can you be a program builder? Can you learn how to do it? Yes, I did. And but the essence of it is figuring out who you are and what you're going to stand for and how you're going to deal with the people that you're going to be dealing with in all levels. And make it has to come from your heart. It has to be right, as authentic as it can possibly be. Then you can withstand the questions and the challenges and the issues and concerns from a place that you can be true. And let me extend this thought too, that it's extremely difficult for guys to be first-year coaches. It's extremely difficult. I got fired the first time, I got fired the second time. You know, and it's because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have my act together. And it wasn't that I wasn't wanting to be good and all that, I hadn't been through enough, you know, so sometimes you got to learn the hard way. I hate learning the hard way. I always like the other guy to learn the hard way. But, you know, sometimes you just got to go through it. You know?
What do you expect just to impact the culture of what you're building in Vegas now?
How do I expect? Well, I expect to do it really well. You know?
Gino specifically, like how bringing Gino in, what do you think he'll do?
That's one aspect of it. You know, getting Max signed for a long term to show the commitment to one of the great competitors in the game was one step of it. Getting Gino was a step on the other side of the ball to make it clear we're not sitting around and waiting to see what happens and hope things will turn out. We're going to proactively go after it. John and I are committed to making that happen in every choice, in every turn, every step of the way, all the way through this whole process. And as this offseason keeps taking its shape, we're going to be about that mentality, and that is what is creating, you know, your cultures. It's making statements of who you are on a regular basis, what you stand for on a regular basis, that will eventually be understood as who, you know, what this culture is.
Peter, times now where quarterbacks are kind of getting second chances. Gino with you in Seattle, Sam Darnold, Baker. What do you think goes into kind of helping those guys have success in that second chance opportunity?
In the first chance of it, you got to figure out who they are, and you figure out what they bring, what they offer at that opportunity, that time in their life, and then try to maximize that. And it's no different. It's the next step, and the next chance you get another guy, you bring a guy in that's been around or whatever, you got to figure out who they are. It isn't any different in any aspect of my program. I got to know everybody in this program. I got to figure out who they are, what makes them extraordinarily unique, and then see how we can celebrate that uniqueness by the way we position them and ask them to do what they do. And so it doesn't matter whether it's a young guy or an old guy or where they come from.
Could you reference what you told us a minute ago about after your first two jobs, you had to learn who you were? Is that maybe sometimes with players too, that after a while they have to learn who they are?
Yeah, I think that's what living is. I think that's what life is all about. So, I mean, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you do. You know, as you go through your life, you experience stuff, and then you have pitfalls and there's suffering, and you have to bounce back and come back and continue to discover and uncover what you're all about. And I think there's nothing. That's what life is. And so the stuff we're doing, there ain't nothing special about what we're doing. We're just living with them and helping them. But I do feel like you can accelerate the process by helping people go through the steps that they have to take through the self-discovery that's necessary. It's going to happen anyway, but we'd like to think we can coach it along and capture a little bit earlier than others.
Free agency always creates some difficult decisions. You had some starters from last year's defense that left in free agency. Kind of, I guess, what went into all of that? Do you feel like you've adequately replaced them?
I think I said early on, we'd like to keep our guys. That was the truth, because that's all we had. And so as we entered into the process, we found out that there was a lot of guys that were interested. And so we made each decision one at a time, and I thought John did a great job of giving us an opportunity. I think we got better. And so and managing the process, we had to spread that money around, make all those cool decisions that you got to make, and I thought John was right on it. I'm thrilled about the guys that we picked up. We particularly on the defensive, start with Gino, on the offensive side, particularly on the defensive side where we hit some numbers. We got guys that have the mentality coming in here that they have something to prove. I'm always looking for guys that got a chip on their shoulder. And from Jeremy Chin, and his excitement about coming to the program, to see what we're going to get Lee Rob, L-Rob, he's going to be a fantastic addition calling the defenses. And to wind up at this late time when we just knocked in both Devin White, you know, what a story he's going to be. I mean, he's a fantastic addition to our team. And so, and then getting our own guys signed up, you know. Of course, it started with Max, but Adam is a big deal to us. We found a couple guys in the process too that are kind of coming through the ranks, guys that we acquired late in the season that will be challenged for our spots. Eric Stokes, holy shoot. That guy is exactly the kind of guy I'm looking for, you know, at that spot. Signing Isaiah was a really big deal too, of getting him committed. Our safeties are long and fast. Our corners are faster. You know, it's going to be a competitive group. It's the kind of group that Joey Wood's going to put together. You'll see he and Mark Robinson. They're going to put together an excellent group. And you know, it's one of my favorites to see that thing come together. So I'll kind of be tweaking in there a little bit myself. Can't wait.
What kind of input have you gotten from Tom Brady?
A tremendous. What kind? Let me answer specifically. Dealing with Tom is a moment-to-moment recollection of who he is. I mean, he stands for so much. He is not just a trivial, easygoing dude. He is on it, and I say that because he's such a tremendous competitor. He competes at everything that he's doing. He is really a clear communicator, directed, focused, going back to understanding who he is, to great depths. He's an amazing asset. Really is an amazing asset in an array of ways. The only issue is that he's not around all the time. You know, we're not there all the time with him. But it's not that he's not competing all the time. He's keeping track of everything. We talk regularly, really close with John, and they have a great relationship so that we can add the richness that he offers. He's going to have a blast doing this. He's so excited about it. He's so involved with everything. And we're trying to do a good job of really keeping him connected, so he really can be at the edge of making, giving the advice and help us make decisions on a way that's representative of our ownership. Ownership has really changed at the club, and Mark Davis did a tremendous job in envisioning what he could put together, starting with Tom and Tom Wagner that came with him, Elon Durbin and Michael Meldman. Those guys, they bring an energy like I bring, and there's an attitude that we share that is really compatible, and we're all looking forward to the next step. I hope with a real cutting-edge approach and an outlook that could be very unique and seen as that. And so that's why this is such a great opportunity for me to have this chance.
Are you talking daily, or how do you end up?
Not daily with everybody. Oh, Tom's available moment to moment. Yeah.
As you go through your first off season with John, what have you learned about working together, John Spytek?
Spytek? It's been awesome. He was picked out by Tom, first of all. Tom knew John along the way, Michigan guys and all that, which I'm really tired of listening to. But the Michigan background was kind of where they started, but they built a relationship that will be so significant in this program. They communicate really well. They talk hard to each other, and I think John can bring out the best in Tom and Tom the best in John. And hopefully, knowing that the relationship between the head coach and the general manager is the most significant and impacting relationship. John and I have started off, with a dedication to really collaborate in every way that we can to bring out the best in both of us. So it's gone well so far. We're underway. I have no concern about how it's going to go. I can already see us hitting it, and so. He's got the draft coming up. He's already made a bunch of deals. He signed all the coaches. He's got all this thing going. He's been on point on everything we've done, and only the highest of expectations has been done for him.
Now that we're about a month away from the draft, it's like now that we're about a month away from the draft, what have been your early thoughts about just the quality of this draft?
There's a lot of excitement about the draft for the club because there's tremendous players at an array of spots. They're not all as strong as the others, but there's guys throughout that really get us cranked up. And we're going to have our wish list. We're going to be hoping that some guys are going to be there when we choose. We have a tremendous position in the draft, 6th spot throughout the rounds. We'll be active. We're going to be very creative. We're not settling with anything. Every single opportunity we have, we're going to investigate, be prepared to do that, and try to take full advantage of it for us. And so I love John's approach, and the guys he's got around him. Mark Thews is a big impact for how we're thinking. Our coaches will be involved, and we're going to take, you either compete or you're not. So we're going to take advantage of every opportunity using all of the elements that we have.
Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you'd be teaming up with Tom Brady one day? How did that relationship
with that, I never did think that could happen. I couldn't even foresee the path to that. And then when he jumps into the Raiders, to me, the entire image of this opportunity shifted. The expertise that he brings, the uniqueness, I didn't know how he would be to work with. I didn't know that. Just competed against him, listened to him over the years, had great admiration and respect and all that. But he is really grounded in his mentality, and that's what makes him so valuable to us, because we can draw from that. There's been a number of opportunities already to position him to speak on behalf of a unique perspective that nobody else has. And so about a ton of things, but particularly about the quarterback position in offense and what's going on that side. And I translate his talk from the offensive side of it, his perspective there, to what we're doing on the other side of the ball. And it's been tremendous. It's going to continue to be, and it's, I never would have ever imagined that something like that could happen. But I'm telling you, as soon as it was announced, it immediately shifted my thought about what this opportunity was about.
Given your history with the Super Bowl, just what's that relationship like?
Well, it isn't just about the Super Bowl. We played them a number of times and beat them.
Yeah, man, it all makes sense. And looking at it from the outside looking in, you see how this secondary is going to be built. You want to have guys that have good measurables, who are a certain height, a certain weight, nice and long, and aggressive. All these guys are aggressive, man. They want to go out there and they want to hit. And like Jeremy Chin said, they want to play violent. You got a violent Jeremy Chin. You got a violent Isaiah Polamalu. You got a Lonnie Lotto Johnson who has something to prove and a chip on his shoulder, right? You have a Stokes out there who kind of fizzled out in Green Bay, but has really good measurables and it can really be a solid contributor. You got a Devin White who was, a captain of a Super Bowl winning team on defense, and he just kind of flipped around to a bunch of places. You got a guy like Landon Roberts who won a couple of rings. You got these guys who are showing that they still can do it. And they want to go out there and they want to prove themselves. On top of that, you got Kuntz on a prove-it deal in 1 year. You got Malcolm Butler finally got some change and is going to be a disrupting force up the middle. You got your captain in Maxx Crosby on the edge, who is going to want to not only just live up to, but surpass the huge contract that he's already gotten. And not to mention Christian Wilkins, who signed a massive contract last season and wants to show that it wasn't wasted money and he can't be a disruptive force on defense. Look, man, all these moves are pointing in the direction of we want to win with our strong, aggressive defense, and its emphasis on aggressive. We're going to see a completely different defense this season. I know it because I know how Pete Carroll likes to play defense, and I know he's all about pressure and takeaways. Great. We get stops, that's fine, but we want the ball, right? Don't confuse activity for achievement. Just because you're running around and you're in the right position doesn't mean anything. You got to make the play once you're there, and that's going to be a big selling point right now for this defense moving forward, making the plays when they're there. When you got guys that are willing to push each other but support each other at the same time, and everyone's playing for each other, not only the name on the back but the name on the front, this is going to be an excellent way for the team to gel together, and it's all built right now through free agency. A lot of players that we signed from other teams. It's going to be a great thing for us because the guys that we let go and the guys that we got in, there's not really a lot of difference. I like the guys that we have right now because they fit the mold of what Pete Carroll wants to do much better than the guys that left. They're a little bit more aggressive. They got a little bit bigger chip on their shoulder, and they're violent. That's what we want, man. So that's a really good look into the mind of Pete Carroll and how he saw free agency, not just now, but in the future, in the second wave after the draft. We're going to see probably a very similar mindset in free agency there as well. All right, guys, that's my time for today. I appreciate you watching the video. Go ahead, everyone. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's a great way to support this channel. It's absolutely free to do. And it's the absolute bare minimum to help support this channel, besides just sitting back and doing absolutely nothing and watching the video, which, of course, like I've said, I always do appreciate. Go ahead and comment your comments below how you think free agency is going so far and what the Raiders should do in the second wave of free agency after the draft. All right, guys, that's my time. Until next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation, thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button, drop a comment, make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.